So lovely to sing together, especially on a Friday night. That's my favorite time to sing. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm Mayaan Lev. I'm the student rabbi here at HaYam, if we haven't met before. So happy to be with you all tonight. This week's Torah portion is Lech Lecha, and I think it is quite possibly in the top three of the most famous portions. I'm pretty sure some of you can guess what the order is. 1, 2, 3, kind of the order they come in. This is number 3. It's a portion that is so rich, so full of stories, that it's hard to know what to focus on. But fortunately, we have the triennial reading cycle to help us narrow it down. I'll pull from, but I'm going to talk about the triangle between Avram, Sarai, and Hagar. And I want to emphasize their names were Avram and Sarai at the time. Their names were going to be changed later. I don't want to call this triangle a love triangle, because it's unknown how much love was actually there besides the love between Avram and Sarai. It's unknown if Avram actually loved Hagar. And while it might be easy to believe that Hagar loved Avram, there is no clear, indisputable evidence of it in the text. So it's not actually a love triangle. It's a triangle about the love between Avram and Sarai and the trials that they faced in their marriage because of Hagar. Sarai tells Avram, "Go have a child with Hagar, my maidservant, and maybe my lineage will be built up from her." Perhaps Sarai is truly desperate and truly means this, but she certainly isn't happy about it later on, so perhaps this was a test. Perhaps she was testing Avram. Earlier in the Torah portion, when Avram could easily have explained to the Pharaoh that Sarai was his wife, he instead said that she was his sister, and that left Pharaoh open to try to take Sarai as his own wife. Again, perhaps Sarai is testing Avram, saying, "If the sanctity of marriage means so little to you, and you can easily assign me a new husband, then let's see how you react when I try to assign you a new wife." If this is a test, Avram fails. Genesis 16:2 says, "Vayishma Avram lekol Sarai," and Avram listened to Sarai's voice. The Rabbi Ramban explains, Avram would never have done this without believing that he had his wife's permission. He believes that he's honoring his wife by listening to her wishes. He may never have wanted to be with Hagar in the first place, but again, that only happened once again because of Avram's mistakes. According to Mishnah Yevamot 6:6, Sarai was only childless in the first place because Avram had brought her with him to Egypt. Indeed, according to Ramban, Avram should never have gone down to Egypt in the first place, even if there was a famine. Surely God had made a great point about bringing Avram to Canaan. Surely he should have stayed, and surely God would have protected him if he did stay. The Ramban, this lack of faith, this descent into Egypt, is the true reason why Avram's descendants are enslaved in Egypt many years later. As the first Jew, Avram made a lot of mistakes. But it's always difficult to be the first of anything, so perhaps we should cut him some slack. Back to our story, though. Hagar begins to mistreat Sarai, and Sarai says to Avram, "May my injustice be upon you." What had Avram done wrong? On the surface, nothing. But then again, maybe in a difficult situation like this, he should have done more to defend Sarai's honor. Sarai then said to Avram, "Ishpot Adonai beini uvenecha." May the Lord judge between me and you. Not between Sarai and Hagar, but between Sarai and Avram. Avram tries to honor his wife as best he can, deferring to her and saying to her, "Do to Hagar what you think is proper." And again, perhaps this was another mistake on Avram's part, because Sarai treats Hagar so terribly that Hagar runs away. Pirkei Avot 5:3 says that Avram had 10 trials in his life, and the Rambam lists them. The decision to take Hagar as a wife was number 5. Number 5, like the 5th commandment concerning the honoring of our parents. Avram later chooses to expel Hagar. That was trial number 8, according to Rambam. 8, like the days until circumcision, which marks the covenant that Ishmael was not a part of. But despite the many trials and mistakes of Avram, he still had good intentions, And towards the end of Lech Lecha, when God tells him that Sarai, who is now Sarah, will end up with a child that will lead Avram's descendants, Avram, now Abraham, asks, but what about Ishmael? Perhaps Ishmael should never have been born, for perhaps Avram should have been more faithful, that eventually Sarai would have produced a child. But this was Avram's fault. This was Abraham's fault, not Ishmael's. And Abraham does not want to leave Ishmael out to dry. God hears Abraham's pleas, and God blesses Ishmael. Now, taking a page out of Rabbi Sachs's book, I want to take a minute to talk about sports. I'm sorry, Rabbi, I'm not a baseball fan. Forgive me. I'm actually a diehard basketball fan, but I want to talk tonight about football. If you are a Raiders fan, or if you follow football closely, you may have heard what happened this week with Raiders head coach John Gruden, who is no longer a part of the organization. Recently, some of the old emails of his have been leaked to the public. And like most leaked emails, they were not flattering. Gruden insulted NFL Players Association director Demarice Smith behind his back, using a rude racial slur to describe him. Naturally, the media had a field day with this, and after looking further into his emails, which the league had access to because of an ongoing investigation into team misconduct, it was discovered that Coach Gruden insulted not only people of color, but also women and gays, which is quite ironic because one of the current Raiders players is Carl Nassib, who recently became the first openly gay NFL player to ever take the field for a regular season game. But there was a problem, though. These emails that we leaked, the New York Times actually leaked them, these emails were 10 years old by the time they got to the public. This was before Gruden even started working for the Raiders. Can a person really change in 10 years? In some cases, I think they can. But knowing what I know about Coach John Gruden and his outspoken persona, I doubt this has happened. Let's say, however, that he is truly remorseful and has truly changed. Should he still be punished for what he said 10 years ago? Many people still say yes. Raiders player Carl Nassib refused to speak to the media, which was very telling. But he might as well have said, Ishpat Adonai beni uvencha. May the Lord judge between me and you, Coach Gruden, just like Sarai said to Avram. Well, the Lord has judged. The Lord has spoken. The Lord has spoken through NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Actually, God said to Commissioner Goodell, do with him what is proper in your eyes, just as Avram said to Sarai. After Commissioner Goodell has spent considerable resources in recent years trying to clean up the image of the NFL, which was seen as an intolerant league, Commissioner Goodell knew. He knew that Coach Gruden could not survive this scandal. It would be too harmful for the league's image. Goodell put pressure on Raiders owner Mark Davis, and Davis spoke to Coach Gruden a few days ago, and Coach Gruden has since resigned. Now, I doubt this was his choice. Coach Gruden was in only his fourth year of a 10-year coaching deal, which was the highest-paying coaching contract in league history. If he truly just resigned and was not fired, does he get to keep the money? It's not clear, and a lot of people are wondering, but that's actually not what's most important here. I truly believe there are a lot of people at fault here besides John Gruden. He had many enablers, likely including Washington football team owner Daniel Snyder. Snyder is going through a scandal of his own right now, and the league knows how hard it is to kick out one of the rich owners. It's much harder to remove an owner than a coach. So for the time being, while he still has his title as the owner of the Washington football team, the NFL has transferred the day-to-day ownership operations of the team to his wife. How fitting. This parallel with Lech Lecha. Give the power to your wife. But while the NFL clearly still has some bad apples in its ranks, probably a lot of bad apples, I'm still a football fan. What's going to happen to the Raiders this year without Coach Gruden? They probably won't win the Super Bowl, but they still have a winning record at the moment. How do their players feel? Will they be able to recover? This isn't their fault, and yet it's going to have a great effect on them. Coach Gruden was actually the most well-known name on the team, more famous than any of his players. Well, just as Abraham expressed to God that he didn't want Ishmael to suffer for Abraham's own mistakes, I hope that the Raiders do well this year. I hope that God will make the Raiders into a great nation, a very great nation, just like God promised to Abraham. I hope the Raiders become a great nation, but not as great as the chosen nation, the Baltimoreans, or as they are sometimes known, the Ravens. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.